Hey everybody, thanks for clicking on that thumbnail. Hope you enjoy the video. And this is an odds and ends video, so it's a grab bag of news stories, news of the day, this day in history, and other kind of stories that aren't big enough for a video itself. So today we're going to take a look at the league's sort of announcement, I guess kind of an announcement of what's going to happen for the 2020-21 season. They're starting to work on that, and they're giving us a timeline and some of the things going on. So I'm going to get into, I wrote a whole stuff about it. I'm going to read that. So it's looking more and more likely that the NHL will play games for the 2020-2021 season, and that the target date is January 1st and not February. With the Summer Olympics scheduled to start July 23rd, 2021, and being broadcast in the U.S. on NBC, which is the same network in the U.S. that carries the NHL games, that has the contract with the league. It's become apparent that the NHL will have to have the 2020-21 season completed, playoffs and all, by that date. But I would figure about a week before the Olympics start. So that gives them about 197 to 204 days if they go right up to the Olympics to fit an 82-game schedule and 4 full playoff rounds, because they've said they want to have 4 full playoff rounds, no qualifying rounds this time. And I think that's not happening, not for 82 games. I don't see how they have enough time to do that. So a more realistic number for me is 60 to 70 games, and that number has been thrown out. I've also seen 48, 56, somewhere. One of those numbers are going to be the actual number, depending on when the season actually starts. If they have time to do 60 games. If not, you'll see, I think it'll be 48, because there's a precedent with 48 on the 2 strike-shortened seasons. So I think you'll see that. The league wants to be back to its normal season start date for the 2021-22 season. So finishing before the Olympics is critical for that. They want to be back to normal start in October for the season when the Seattle Kraken come into the league. They have the expansion draft. They've got a lot of stuff going on, I guess, with that. But they want to have the season back to normal. Hopefully fans in the stands by that time when the Kraken come into the league. A 48-game schedule is a possibility, but in order to fulfill the league's responsibilities with local and national broadcasters and sponsors, 48 games won't be enough, really, according to some sources from the article that I read. So this article was in The Athletic, and it makes sense. 48 games, not enough to fulfill that contract for the year of an 82-game schedule. So I think they're really going to try to get 60 and maybe 70 games in, if possible. So we'll see. Now, I also saw a video, I guess an NHL video from TSN, where they were talking about their opinions that the league will start later in January or maybe even February 1st, because they don't believe that they will make the players miss Christmas with their families. So they'd be in training camp and all that. And they think they'll wait till after Christmas. I don't know. I think the timeline is really tight, and I don't know if they have that luxury to do that personally. But we'll have to see. We should hear stuff soon. See if I got it. So unless something pandemic-related happens between now and January 1st, 2021, that's when games will happen, I think, January 1st. The league plans to give, or, within the first week of January, the league plans to give the 7 teams out that finished out of the RTP an extra week of training camp, as they had, the teams had requested that they get that. So expect to see those camps open at the end of the first week of December if they're on target for January 1st, and the rest of the camps a week later. So giving a minimum 2-week training camp, again, because that's all they had for the RTP. So it's a 2-week training camp, when normally I think it's like a month. And I think that'll be enough, because they're not that far off from last season. And giving that extra week for those teams. Those 7 teams that didn't make the RTP, they haven't really been on the ice since March when the games got called. So I think that's a good idea to give them a little bit extra time. With that timeline, things are going to get heated up very soon, and official announcements will start being given almost any day now, in my opinion. They don't have much time to decide what they're going to do and get it done, because we're already mid-November. If training camps are going to open first week of December, it's 3 weeks, a little over 3 weeks away. Players will need to be in place and quarantined and ready to go in their home cities for the start of their team's camps. And that's an important point, because there's a lot of players literally all over the world. But in Europe, they've got to come back here. They've got to quarantine for 2 weeks before they can go and skate and be taking part in any camp. So they want to be back and ready to go by the time camp start, or else, they're not going to be in camp. It's not good. There can be a lot more injuries happening, even though there should be more injuries because of the compressed schedule and all that. So the next 2 weeks should bring a lot of, lots of news and official confirmations. I know they're working on it pretty strongly right now, so we'll see how that goes. NHL temporary realignment is almost a surety, and that means an all-Canadian division and 3 regional U.S. divisions. It's expected to be all or mostly all divisional play, and that means that depending on how things go with the pandemic, if at some point during the season there's a vaccine and all that stuff, and you're allowed to have fans in the stands and all that kind of stuff, they may be able to travel around, and they may be able to do other than divisional play. But I think at least to start the season, you're only going to see playing inside in the division. I tend to think that that's going to be the whole season. I kind of don't know how they'd work it out, where half the season it's all divisional play, and then the rest of the season it's not. I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. They might also decide to do like baseball does and play 2 or 3 games at a time in each city before moving on to the next arena. So that also cuts down on travel and traveling costs. So, so Montreal, say, going out to the West Coast, they'd fly out to Vancouver or Winnipeg or Edmonton, and they'd play 2 or 3 games over a period of 3-4 days, depending, and before moving on to the next arena. So I think we'll see that this year. I really do. That actually makes a lot of sense. The regional play in baseball-like travel will make for some intense rivalries and some great hockey. When they're going to have to spend, they're going in 2-3 games, 2-3 games, 2-3 games. Those games get more meaning. Like second game means more, third game means more. Stuff like that. I think if it's 2 games, you're going to see back-to-back. You go in, back-to-back games, you go out. See that right. As for the likelihood of fans in the arenas, it's still unknown. In the NFL, some markets are allowing limited fans, but they're in outdoor stadiums, which makes a difference. So it's hard to know how that translates into smaller indoor arenas in those states. And in Canada, as far as I know, there are no fans allowed as of yet, at least that I've heard of, except for, I think, soccer, but that's outside. So, and that soccer is done now, but that is outside. So I haven't heard of any other fans in any arenas or stadiums or anything like that in Canada. The issue of fans will evolve over the coming months, and I think it differs in each city. So, we'll have to see how that goes. The playoffs are expected to be divisionally based and possibly being changed from the usual 2-2, so 2 games, 2 games, 1 game, 1 game, 1 game format, and probably go back to something that they used to do a long time ago. I think it was the 80s, where it was 2 games, 3 games, 2 games. So 2 games in one place, 3 games in the other place, and 2 games back in the first place. Usually the team with the better record, first 2 games. And I always thought that's not really fair, because if the team that's lower gets one of those first 2 games, then goes back to their arena for 3 games in a row, that's it. It could be over then. And I always thought that was unfair, but they could be going to that here. It means a lot less travel. It makes a lot of sense. So I would think they're going to do that. Or if it's that in playoffs, you might see that they'll go to a hub in the playoffs again. But the players didn't really like the hub, so I don't know if that's going to happen again. Don't expect the season to open with the league's annual Winter Classic. They also said that. There's talk that they might do a Winter Classic, but I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't think. And apparently, a source with the league told the writer of this article, I wouldn't really go too heavy on that one. Talking about the Winter Classic, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So, don't really expect that. And there won't be enough time, when you think about it, to get it sorted out, find a place, get it all set up. I don't think we have enough time if it's going to be January 1st start for that. So I don't think you'll see that. So that's pretty much what I know about the possible startup, when it's going to happen, what they've kind of announced. There will be announcements coming up over the next week, 2 weeks, and continuing as they nail down all their details and they get everything sorted out. So we've got one more story. That's Nikita Scherbak. He owns up in recent interview. So Nikita Scherbak, who I guess last year in the 2019 season came out with that bullshit about, how Montreal doesn't like Russian players, never gave them a proper chance. Michel Therrien and Marc Bergevin didn't treat him right and all that kind of stuff. And we knew it was BS. And it turns out, of course, that it is. So he did an interview, like I said, with TVA Sports. I imagine last week. I'll just read you what I wrote. Make it easier than me trying to find my spot. Nikita Scherbak did an interview recently with TVA Sports, and he apologized for some of the things he said in the past and things attributed to him. He was asked if he feels that he got a real chance to make the team in Montreal, and he said, absolutely, I had my chance. People were hoping to see more from me, and you know what? Me too. I would really like to go back and do things differently, but I can't. I don't want to hide and blame someone else. I messed up. I should have given more. Asked about his criticism of the Montreal organization, and in particular of Michel Therrien and Marc Bergevin, and their attitude towards him, he said, this interview came back to haunt me a lot, to be honest. I think what I said was exaggerated to some extent. Yes, there are some things that have been said. I do not deny it, but I spoke with too much emotion and I regret some of my comments. He says players and families are treated extremely well by Montreal and that his relationship with Marc Bergevin was always good. He would like to return to the NHL and his agent is trying to make that happen. And that's probably a lot of the reason why he came out in this interview and just owned up to what he had said, that it wasn't true, and he was just emotional and angry at the time and trying to deal with everything going on in his life, and he kind of blamed it on Montreal. And so just interesting because that's that was kind of talk for a little while last year, and just interesting that came out. So that's all I got for you today. There's not much else happening right now. And so if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to comment on anything there, leave a comment in the comment section. And if you're new to the channel or you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and ring that notifications bell. That's going to get you your daily fix of Blue Blanc Rouge right here at Talkin' Habs. If you're still with me tonight on the live stream, I do a live stream every Saturday night. Please join us and we'll talk about what's going on. And last thing, #Movember. I shaved today so you can really see my mustache coming out now. So I'm taking part in that. There's a link in the description. If you'd like to donate, you click on that. It'll take you to the page where you can find out everything you need to know. So that's #Movember. We grow mustaches, and it's to make awareness for men's mental and physical health. So there you go. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate that you watched. Stay safe out there with everything. Hope to see you tonight at the live stream. And peace out, y'all. See you next video. Bye, everybody.